Again on this live Metaphysical Sunday Service with Transcending Ascension. I'm Reverend Diana Marie, and today we're diving back in to our A Course in Miracle lessons. We are on day 4 today, since we're back on the computer and hopefully streaming without issue, as I do have streamline internet now, which is supposed to work. It does claim to work at least times 3 higher. So we shall see, and I will get to look back after and fingers crossed it worked. Today in our lesson 4, it takes more of a broader approach, and we get a more detailed lesson to help break down the fact that we are trying to alter our perceptions so that we can change and be the masters of our own reality. This is why the Course in Miracles is so powerful. It's a step-by-step approach to essentially brainwashing yourself, changing your patterns in your brain to think and act differently, which with the all is mind, this will print you out a different reality. And most people on this earth are looking to have a different reality. Even if you have like an all right life, there is still things that can be upgraded, that can be changed, that can be tinkered with here, as we are cosmic, divine creator beings. We have that high of a level of creative power. We can really create almost anything, but we have to get our own brains to believe it. And that right there is the hardship, because about 95% of everybody's daily actions and entire life are subconscious. Even if you're consciously speaking, the thoughts that sprung out of your head, the associations that sprung out of your head to give you the fuel to keep the conversation going, like even me right now, like what's coming to come out is subconscious. The conscious mind gets to be the gardener. It gets to be the picker and the chooser. But oftentimes, like right now, this is going so fast that it's just naturally happening, which is almost more subconscious, but I'm conscious of my subconscious. And that's a layer that one must get to. Every thought you have, you need to look at. Every word you say, you need to, why did I say this? Especially if something is negative. It gives you, or triggering, it gives you that extra thing to look at and go, why? Because there's always a why. And when we dig out those whys, which is why the Course in Miracle is so great, it takes you through the process of digging out your whys, of digging out your pre-programmed reactions, responses, thoughts, opinions, because why you think negatively about something is going to have a reason. Everything has its reason. So let's dive into today's episode. I will screen share with you today so you can follow me along. One of the bonuses of the computer, although it doesn't matter what I do, I can't get the visual to look better. Tech issues of the content creator here. Okay, so lesson 4. These thoughts do not mean anything. They are like the things I see in this room, on this street, from this window, and in this place. Unlike the preceding ones, these exercises do not begin with the idea for the day. In these practice periods, begin with noting the thoughts that are crossing your mind for about a minute. Then apply the idea to them. If you are always aware of unhappy thoughts, use them as subjects for the idea. Do not, however, select only the thoughts you think are bad. You will find, if you train yourself to look at your thoughts, that they present such a mixture that, in a sense, none of them can be called good or bad. This is why they do not mean anything. In selecting the subjects for the application of today's idea, the usual specificity is required. Do not be afraid to use good thoughts as well as bad. None of them represents your real thoughts, which are being covered up by them. The good ones are but shadows of what lies beyond, and shadows make sight difficult. The bad ones are blocks to sight and make seeing impossible. You do not want either. This is a major exercise and will be repeated from time to time in somewhat different forms. The aim here is to train you in the first steps toward the goal of separating the meaningless from the meaningful. It is a first attempt in the long range purpose of learning to see the meaningless as outside you and the meaningful within. It is also the beginning of training your mind to recognize that it is the same and what is different, to recognize what is the same and what is different. In using your thoughts for application of the idea for today, identify each thought by the central figure or event it contains. For example, this thought about how mad I am at my visual filming, can't even think of the word, does not mean anything. It is like the things I see in this room, on this street, and so on. You can also use the idea for a particular thought that you recognize is harmful. This practice is useful, but is not a substitute for the more random procedure to be followed for the exercises. And the suspension of judgment in connection with thoughts particularly difficult. Do not repeat these exercises more than 3 or 4 times during the day. We will return to them later. And I hope you like that version. This is available for free. This is one of the free versions I was telling you that's available online. It's I mean, can you see the website? I think so. It's I just Googled, but it's acim.org, acourseinmiracle.org. And it's all available. It's searchable. It's yeah, it's there for you. So you don't need to use any excuses that, oh, I can't afford the book. And even though it's not even that much, you can get $20 versions on Amazon. But regardless, there's always, the brain will like to think of excuses to get you out of anything that will improve yourself, especially in the beginning. You will be kept from anything that can make your life better. And we don't want that. We don't want ourselves to be kept from anything that can make our life better. We want ourselves to be pushed towards all things that can improve our life in any which way we can, because it's not just one magical retreat you do and you're instantly fixed forever, or one ayahuasca trip and you're instantly fixed forever. Even if you do such big hitting items as that, they probably have bigger of an impact of getting through your situations to help you. However, they are not going to be permanent healed solutions if you yourself are not constantly retraining that mind and constantly reprogramming that mind and constantly going through the motions that take you on the journey of healing yourself in that manner. That is just not the way that you're going to heal yourself unless you just do all the work. All the work. We love to say the term the work. We'll do all the work. It's painful, and it should be painful because you're digging out parts of yourself that, let's just say it, suck, right? And we don't like to use negative terms. They said don't call things good or bad. But the truth of the matter is, if we have good tendencies, good, this is why you don't want to label them. You want to just have it be in a space of, what do I want to allow for my life? And what do I not want to allow for my life? So, and then you could say take away the good and bad terms, and it's true. You do want to. My human design person we do the weekly episodes with, Ta, is always telling me not to use those terms. But I mean, we do live in a duality world. We do live in a world where it's yes and no. We do live in a world where it's, I want to go this way or I want to go that way, right? But it's not even just good and bad. There's so many variations. But even on the spectrum of vibration of the self, that David Hawkins, where the bottom, we have your apathy, lust, I think is the actual very bottom, but you continue your way up and you find that anger, even though it's on the lower scale, is higher than apathy, and lust is lower than apathy, and grief is lower than apathy. So it's like you have, but anger, and even pride is on the negative side, but pride's higher than anger. And you just keep going up and up and up. And it actually, neutrality is the border there. And then after neutrality, you have courage and so on, and you keep going up. So these are like your variations of good at the top, with bliss and joy and peace being near the top, and your variations of bad, being on the bottom. And you don't have to call it that language because, as you can see, it's a huge spectrum. Spectrum. We're getting used to the term spectrum because everything is on a spectrum. Even in duality of white to black, there's all the colors in the middle from one to the other. So duality holds within it far more than just the two, even though duo, right? Because that's why what we're realizing of not being in a dual world does not simply mean, okay, we are all one and one is one. And because when you hear those kind of false light descriptions of what all is one means, and maybe in other realms it is that way, but as the physical human that is literally created out of duality, we need to learn to cultivate an existence that exists within that spectrum of duality, meaning you have millions of variations in there. And this is why we like terms like higher vibration and things of that nature, because that's really what we're going to be seeking. And you are free to seek whatever you choose. If you want to go to pure darkness, that's within your ability as well. There's people that accidentally do it all the time. Poor mirrors and victim mentality, or whatever the situation is. If you're going in a lower space, but you want to go in that lower space, you want to be the unawakened Scrooge and the miser and the, go for it. It's part of your freedom as a human. But what comes with that, and why most of us choose to head for the light, it's not even like when you start this path, I'm so altruistic, I'm Jesus, I'm this, I'm that. And that's what those light teachings bring us towards. And you get that self-aggrandizing, and that's when it becomes false light. When you come to the humble truth of reality that I want to live in the light and be a better person and become altruistic, yes, because it's better for all of society, but let's be honest here, it's better for us because of the way karma works, the laws of cause and effect, like matching like, the laws of vibration, simply all the laws of the universe. If you study the Hermetics, I recommend you do so, the Kybalion. You need to understand that these things are actually for your better good. It's for your better good to be a better person. When you're walking down the street and you help a little child that fell up, you didn't just help that child and improve their life and all their timelines and their faith in humanity, because you might have, but you also saved yourself karma, because there is karma from watching something happening and knowing it's that. This is why we can often get bitter at the sheeple, because they know not what they do, which actually means they are not completely excused, but to a point they are, because when you are fully aware of what you do, there is so much more conscious onus on what's happening. Now, the sheeple do play out their karma just as much. They do. They really, truly do. They are not excused, but they are from that mental pressure. But that mental pressure is what alchemizes those of us watching this. You want to be an alchemist, and you want to take the self and put it through the fire to better the self. So it's painful. It's painful to be like, I let that kid fall. I didn't help them up. I didn't stand up for them. And just like allow that, being aware of the thoughts. And we're not policing the self here. You don't have to go, you're a bad person, because trust me, you know you are. When this happens, at least I do, when this happens, you have to get into that space, which I talk endlessly on my overall show about, the God space, the God spark, the filtration system of the self, and get that generator, which I have my toy back, get that generator to, because it can be tight and it could do nothing, or it can expand, right? Or it can expand and it can be beautiful. And what's this expansion going to do? It's going to allow energy to flow through it fully and properly, and it's going to be doing its job a lot better than if you're ignoring it. If you feel some pain, you're like, get down there, pain, I'm not going to acknowledge you. Well, it's going to stay like this, and the energy is not going to move through. It's going to get stuck, and you're going to have problems. Okay. But when we look what happens, right? Kids are kind of broken this, I apologize, but this used to be perfect. It was a perfect circle. Okay. And this is exactly your auric field that surrounds you, all over you, with all the different colors and variations making up who you are. You want that to be flowing through you so you can allow this alchemizing pain, allow it, deep breathe through it, keep it open. and you will work through those issues much, much faster. The insights from the cosmos will come down through you much easier, from the divine, from your guides, from anything you're trying to connect to help you, your higher self. You can call down those, but in a space of allowing, deep breathing, oxygenizing, can't say it, oxygenizing your cells, your being, your person. More oxygen in your cells is what I'm saying, will cause you to be more spiritual. Simply having more oxygen in yourself is of benefit. So looking up herbs, or I have a water machine that adds more hydrogen into my water. I have lots of different things that add more oxygen ability into your water. And it's the simplest way to get yourself to have more oxygen. And deep breathing through the nose, you have way more oxygen receptors all through your sinuses that are pulling in the oxygen molecules. When you're just breathing through the mouth breather, there's the term why mouth breathers are lower IQ'd, because you literally have a lower IQ when you can only breathe through your mouth, because you're getting some, because the lungs obviously have that, but it's not the same degree. When you can come through the sinuses, you are pulling out way more oxygen to allow that to flow. Now, yesterday, I'll bring this up because I feel like it's relevant. Yesterday, I did a thing on Twitter, and it is just like opened so much awareness that people need to know this kind of thing to help themselves faster improve through their alchemy of improving the self. And that is triggering yourself into shock responses. Okay, we're not talking emotionally here, but if that ever was to happen to you, just enjoy it and allow that. The animals do it with their body. I can't even make myself, but like that, just where the whole body is shaking. You see animals do that in the forest if anything happens to them, because they're going to shake that stress off right away. And this is why animals don't hold stress. Humans don't naturally go into this shake. So how do we do it? Well, it can happen naturally in meditation, is what the person on Twitter was saying. And then I followed up with a full, that's just like what you learn in somatic work, that you can get your body to shake in certain workout positions. So if you're doing chin-ups, or if you're sitting with your back against the wall and your tippy toes up, your legs will start to shake. Eventually, everything can start to shake. And that shake, that automatic spasm shaking, not maybe cold shaking does it too. I don't think so, because it doesn't feel the same, or maybe it does. I don't know. Oh, he wants his tablet louder. What was I saying? So yeah, shivering, let's say yes. But definitely the working out with your legs up against the wall, chin-ups, like when you get yourself to shake in a workout, because your body is like, it's freaking out. It's actually going into a shock response. That's good. Allow that, and that's going to help your body shake off past trauma. Because just like A Course in Miracles takes us through the mental ability to cognitively think in a better direction to manifest that better world, our body holds the past in our DNA of our ancestors, and in our actual body, in our cells, of all the past things that have happened to us. And there's not too many people on the Star CD Ascension path that don't have past trauma. I haven't met or talked to a single one that does not have past trauma. So allow that traumatic response to happen in while working out. You don't have to work. I'm not a worky outy person. I do yoga and things like that to allow the trauma out, because the body has to have its own releases. It's why ayahuasca is so powerful for people. I haven't done it myself, but it gets you to puke yourself constantly. It gets you to poop yourself constantly. It's probably, and if you've ever had a really bad flu, which I have, you get shaky. And it's probably releasing tons and tons of stored debris in your body, as well as bringing down that higher source awakening that happens in its psychedelic effects. So that's absolutely fantastic. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up here. So I hope you liked our lesson today. Check this website out yourself, and that way you can have this available to you. So ACIM, so accourseInmiracles.org. It's available to you for free. And you can go through these lessons. You can deep dive. There's about this much of the book before you even get to the lessons, where it explains the ego and it breaks everything down beautifully for you. So if you want to if you feel called to this material, which I can't recommend it enough, out of everything I've done, and I did this one a few years ago, it had such an impact. Reading The Power of Now also had a very big impact, but this one provided more tools. The Power of Now kind of showed you really the depths of this, because you can hear it, but it really gets there because it's getting through. We had so many blocks on getting this stuff in that we can hear it and know it. But the reason we have blocks in actually practicing it is because there's large parts of us that don't believe it. They don't believe it's true. TV, parents, society, certainly school, friends, all get us to steer away from the true divine self. Because even if you were raised in some sort of a religious upbringing, it probably was not as openly spiritual as the truth is. Even the best of best religions, like the Baha'i, which I love, is still not the full, I can't even think of a word for it, of it all. The all. And even Buddhism is one of the best. And if you study all of Buddhism, you might find it. The Vedics had it the closest. They have the most of it, the Vedics. And then even the Hermetics, when you read the Kybalion, that's a lot of it's right there. But this Course in Miracle takes you by the hand and walks you through step by step. You don't need to pay a life coach or anything like that. Get the Course in Miracle book and walk through it day by day by day, and it's like a friend. And that beginning section that we skipped there, I went right to the lessons. We'll walk you through and break down just seeing the ego for what it is. You might not even need to read the whole beginning section. It's up to you. I found it to be quite repetitive as I went through it, although I'm glad I did, because I felt called to teach it right from the get-go. And it's what taught me you have to be a teacher to fully learn anything, because if you can't teach it, you don't know it. If you can't tell people, you don't know it. And my Chinese zodiac is the rabbit, and almost all my friends became teachers. So that's hilarious, because the rabbit wants to be a teacher. So teaching does come naturally to me. So that's a bonus. And teaching you for the last few years now has actually done more for my spiritual development than a lot of other things did. So I'm very grateful for this. Thank you so much for tuning in today on Transcending Ascension's live Sunday service. Have yourself a great Sunday, and goodbye for now.